I'm David Reckless.
And I'm Jeff Mansfield, and we're Absolute Golf.
Today we're going to talk to you about distance control. We've talked about impact in video 1. We've also talked about your landing point and your club shot selection in number 2. And today we're going to talk about your distance control, which Jeffrey is pretty good at.
What we're going to talk to you, and this is really the second part of applying the plan. Your chipping type of shot is, as we mentioned in the last video, it's trajectory and roll. That's what we're trying to work out. How high we're going to hit it, and the height is going to affect how much the ball rolls. And we need to match a certain trajectory and roll to the shot that we're playing on each given account. Okay. Now there are easy ways. You know, we can be as technical with this as we need to be, or we can be as simple as we need to be. If most of us were throwing a ball, if we were going to throw a ball a distance, more times than not, we would, after a couple of shots at it, we'd actually get the hang of how big a swing to make, what the trajectory is to make it fly, and how and match a roll to that. When we go to throw a ball, what we need to be able to do is then say, well, okay, that was a fairly high throw, well, maybe that's like my sand iron, or that was a fairly low throw, so that was probably more like a 7 iron. And what we're looking for is we're trying to match the trajectory that we want, and subsequently the amount of roll that we get, to the type of shot that we're trying to hit, or the type of throw that we would make if we were making going to throw the ball or underarm the ball towards the hole.
So why don't I try that now with the first flag? So we're probably, 5 metres from the green,
yep.
And the flag is probably 4 metres on. So I'm going to do what Jeffrey said. I'm going to throw the ball underarm and try and land it on the putting surface and see what it does.
Pretty good. Within one go, he actually got a nice arc out of the trajectory. Got a fair bit of height out of it. The ball probably flew, maybe head high for us, so maybe 5-6 feet in the air. And that's important to understand how high that shot went, 5 or 6 feet. Okay, so that allowed for the ball to carry that 5 metres and then to release for another 5 metres and get to the hole.
So that'd probably be like a sand wedge?
I'd say so. For a shot of this distance, to hit a ball 5 feet in the air actually takes a fair bit of doing. As we discussed in the first video, the higher the ball goes really comes from how big a hit we make. And because we're not hitting the ball very far when we're only going 5 metres, we're really not hitting the ball that hard. So 5 to 6 feet in the air from this far away is a pretty good height.
So after throwing that ball like I did then, Jeff, let's try my sand wedge and try and match it up.
Yep.
Let's see if we can sort of make the same swing. And sometimes what you'll find is you'll see the golf pro will be standing, and if you're watching television, he might stand on the edge of the green, he might do this. He's trying to get a good feel for how far he wants to throw the ball, and then try and imagine he's swinging the golf club the same way.
The funny thing was, notice there how the golf club that we see so much backspin with on TV actually didn't create as much backspin as, and created more roll than we did when we threw the ball. So this understanding that, if I'm hitting a ball with a golf club that it's going to spin back, as we said in the last video, it's a bit of a myth. You have to be hitting the ball quite hard to be able to get that. And with this length of shot, we're not going to get the type of spin that we're looking for.
And you'll actually see I've hit a very, very good shot there, but it's actually rolled probably 2.5 metres past the hole. So I probably need to land my ball a little closer to the front edge of the green, or maybe even a little shorter, to get that ball to finish closer to the hole. But I'm ecstatic about that result. What about the one up the back there, Jeff?
Okay, so if we're going to throw the ball to the hole at the back, it's going to need to be a lower trajectory, because the lower trajectory is going to have more forward momentum. When it hits, it's going to roll even more, and it's going to release back to that back flag.
So we're still 5 metres from the edge of the green, and the flag is probably a good 10 to 12 metres on. So let's throw the ball and see how close we can get it.
Boy, you should take up lawn bowls.
Hey, pretty good. That's about a metre away. So you can see that I threw the ball a lot lower.
The trajectory on that one was about probably just higher than half of the first one. And because of that half higher trajectory, the ball rolled probably another 6 to 8 metres further on. Okay, so if we want the ball to go lower, well then it would make sense that we would use a golf club with less loft. And that's going to give the trajectory less height, which, as we said and as we know, does continue on to more roll.
So I'm going to use my 9-iron now. And I'm still going to land the ball on the front edge of the green. And because it has a lot less loft than my sand iron, it's going to roll further and go a little bit lower. Let's see how we go.
Definitely better at throwing it, mate.
I'm better at throwing the ball. So you can see there we finished about 2.5 metres away again. My direction was a little bit out and I did miss-hit the ball a little bit. But it's still not such a bad golf shot.
Because it was the right plan, he got a reasonable result for an okay connection or an okay execution.
So that's not what I really want. And that was the worst I was going to hit that shot. So it's not too bad. At least I have a putt from 2.5 metres. And if my putting game's on, we can actually make the putt.
Okay, so if we were to put a formula together for this, David, you know, what we've now worked out for you here is that if you fly the ball about 5 metres, it'll roll about 5 metres, and that was with your
Sand wedge.
Okay, so 56-degree wedge. So basically, for every 1 metre of carry, or 5 metres, David got 5 metres of roll. So that's a 1-to-1 ratio, carry to roll. Okay, so and I know in David's case, that's the ratio that he tends to work off. Is if he has a 3 metre carry with his sand wedge, he expects that ball to roll another 3 metres.
Definitely.
4 metres is another 4 metres. So that 1-to-1 ratio is, for your sand iron, pretty much the perfect shot.
Spot on.
Okay. Now, if we were to say that this shot that David just played a minute ago would be probably 1 to a 3 ratio. So for every 1 metre of carry, there's 3 metres of roll, or in this case, probably 5 metres to 15 metres. That would be pretty close to your 9-iron.
Pretty close to my 9-iron. And I've also got to take into account uphill or downhill. So I have to have a baseline. So the baseline Jeffrey's talking about is fantastic. But then what I've got to do is think, okay, that's a 1 to 3 ratio, so I'm going to use my 9-iron. But is it uphill? Is it downhill? Okay, Jeffrey, so let's sum it up real simply. So we're talking about my sand wedge being a 1-to-1 ratio. So if I have a chip which is 3 metres to go on the green, it's going to roll 3 metres.
Approximately.
If I have a chip where I have, say, 2 metres to get on the green, and then it's 4 metres from the edge of the green to the flag, that's a 1 to 2 ratio.
Yes.
So that might be my gap wedge or pitching wedge, depending on which clubs I'm carrying. And then if I have, say, a 5 metre chip to get on the green and it's 15 metres, that's a 1 to 3 ratio. So that could be my 9-iron.
Or your pitching wedge or your 9-iron, definitely. As David mentioned before, there are definite influences that are going to change the rule slightly. If you're going downhill, well then expect the ball to roll a bit more. If you're going uphill, expect the ball to not roll as much. If the greens are a bit slower or they're a bit faster, they're softer or they're firmer. All of these things are going to affect what you're doing, but at least you have a plan to be able to play the shot. And you can take into consideration those little specks of information to be able to influence the type of shot that you want to play.
And really all you're doing with this little plan Jeffrey's devised is you're making the same swing.
Absolutely.
But the different club gives you a lower trajectory or a high trajectory, less roll or more roll. So it makes pretty sense that we can actually be a little bit more consistent if we're making the one swing all the time and getting a different result, like we would on the golf course. We're treating it exactly the same. You have club selection on the golf course, so you have club selection when you're chipping. Don't just try and chip with one club.
Yeah, one of the things that we see all the time is people say, you know, I've made chipping easier because I'm just using one club. Well, using one club actually makes it more difficult, because with one club, essentially I really should only be able to hit one type of shot. Okay, what we're looking for is how I'd rather have one method and use all my clubs, and then that way I've actually got maybe 5 or 6 different shots that I can play. And what I'm doing is exactly the same. I'm the hard thing to change. You need to remember that. The golfer is the harder thing to change. It's easy to change clubs. It's easier to work out that this club will roll more or this club will roll less because of the amount of loft on it.
I think a lot of the guys were shocked last year at Barnbougle Dunes, Jeff, that actually I didn't hit a chip in 4 rounds of golf. The golf course is a Cooch golf course, and the ball is roll hard and fast on the golf course. And I use my putter off the green a lot, and also my 5 and 3 wood. So I use my 5 and 3 wood like a putter and roll it up onto the green. It's a much easier shot, and if I do miss hit it, I'm still going to get a decent result. So I don't want to give myself a difficult shot. I want to make it as easy as I possibly can. I hope you enjoyed our 3 series of videos, and we look forward to seeing you at our golf schools in 2013 on short game and how to lower your scores.
Look forward to seeing you out on the golf course, guys. Hope you get better short game results.
Take care, and we'll see you soon.